A warning for European citizens. This is very, very bad because there's a crisis today of profound magnitude. No, this isn't a building or a coming crisis. It's already here. This is a crisis that's flown under the radar, and European citizens need to wake up fast because what's coming is dangerous. But Europeans can still act before it's too late. So let me walk you through what's going on then, one section at a time, and all of these points are serious points. Now, if you look at each story by itself, you might kind of shrug it off and say, yeah, that's really bad, but I think I can handle that. But when you put them all together, what emerges is a very worrying and dangerous pattern. And that pattern screams of systemic breakdown. You really cannot make this stuff up that I'm about to tell you here. We have everything from a new dystopian privacy commitment to conscription announcements to a new 300 billion euro pledge. That's two 150 billion euros each for different things that are outside of the Eurozone. I mean, this is going to be absolutely wild what's coming up. So let's start with point number one then. And this is the dystopian scanning of private messages, aka the chat control law within the EU. So let's begin with this then, that the messages you send, the apps you use, the idea that encryption means privacy just completely went out the window with this new announcement, because in the EU, this chat control proposal, member states are being pushed to force tech companies to scan your emails and messages before they encrypt them. And if they don't, the EU can enact huge financial penalties on those tech companies. That's right, you send a message, the app checks it, the algorithm flags it, then it gets encrypted. According to Signal, this poses an existential, catastrophic risk to encryption and privacy. And here's the kicker then. Encryption isn't just for bad actors. Governments, activists, businesses, many people rely on it. If this becomes law, your device becomes a scanning tool for governments, or more specifically, the EU. All of your messages are about to get analysed, you'll get flagged, you'll lose your privacy. Everything that's private becomes public. And they say they need this because of this upcoming EU CBDC launch, which we'll talk about later this week, because wow, I've really been down the rabbit hole on this with the new update, and you want to hear this later in the week, so make sure you're subscribed. And the funny thing about all of this is that the lady pushing this, Ursula von der Leyen, deleted her own text messages with Pfizer and refuses to hand them over, even though she is legally obliged to do so. That's right, the lady that's pushing the mandates, the lady demanding transparency from EU citizens, is refusing to hand over her own text messages. Do you see the hypocrisy here? The rules are for you, they are not for them, and I'll prove that to you in a short clip in a moment we've got coming up. So while governments talk about keeping us safe online, etc., what they're really doing is building architectures of surveillance. And this is just one point, by the way, we've got more to go over. And let's be honest, if your phone is being scanned and your messages are being intercepted, then how private is your information really? And this is just the beginning. There's so much more that they are going to be doing digitally with communications. In fact, this on screen here is an official document posted by the EU Parliament on the 17th of August this year, and it's titled Proposed Chat Control Measures, Risks to Privacy and Encrypted Communications. So the first line here reads, social media users in the member states have expressed serious concerns over the proposed chat control measures that would introduce the widespread scanning of encrypted messages. And guess what? It didn't matter, because the EU unelected leaders believe that those member states answer to them and that they don't answer to the member states. So what their concerns are irrelevant. Now, before we go on to the next points, which are just as serious here, remember, we do have some good news today. My Black Friday sale is now on. This is the craziest deal I've ever done. Everyone's saying this. This is the craziest deal. That's over 90% off all of my courses, and there's even 2 free courses included as well. You need to check the link to see this. This will be the most ridiculous deal you've ever seen me make on the channel. And honestly, I'm not sure if I'll ever do it this cheap again. I probably won't. I don't think I will. These courses are going to help you to make money almost right away, or protect your money, more importantly. It's already changed so many lives, these different programs, and I want it to change your life too. But honestly, you gotta grab it quick because the coupon codes are already selling out. I was so surprised how many people use the coupon codes from yesterday's walk and talk video. So I doubt we'll even get to Friday at this rate. And don't worry if you're not 100% sure right now. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked return policy. So just go ahead, grab whatever you want on sale now. And the link for that is below in the description. And if you're not sure, if you're one of the skeptics on the channel, I'll just throw a quick testimonial on here from a guy who was also about as skeptical as they come.
Over the years, I've picked away at various books, TED Talks, YouTube channels and presentations about wealth accumulation and money. It was all a bit bitty. So when Neil's announced his course, I jumped at it. I've followed Neil for several years. He's got an ability to digest complicated and large information, consolidate, translate it, and present it in a really easy to understand way. It's very consumable information. And for me, the most important thing is of course, Neil's done this stuff. It's not, this isn't theory. This is theory backed by practice and results. He's very open about his successes. And importantly, he's open about his failures as well. You can feel very confident about this information. So some really interesting things I liked about the course were it lets you understand how you've been programmed about wealth and money and wealth accumulation, programmed by society, family, school. And it also shows you the importance of your time and your value to society and how that relates to wealth and wealth accumulation. A chapter that particularly resonated with me was it was a bonus chapter, in fact, and it dived into the metaphysical aspects of wealth. I really liked that. And of course, you've got exercises that are really useful. They're worth doing. There's so much more, and what you'll find is you'll find stuff that really resonates with you and really makes you think. So, and as with all these things, you need to get out there and you need to do it. And I have been doing that. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, it is working. So, yeah, I really recommend this course.
Okay, point number 2 then. Almost every German city is now on the brink of bankruptcy. Fact. This is so concerning because the lifeblood of any society is its cities, its businesses, its finances. And those are faltering right across Germany right now. Other EU countries as well, but I'm going to focus on Germany here. The mayor of Essen, a major German city, just said this: almost every German city is now on the verge of bankruptcy because the total deficit for municipal governments has surged to 30 billion euros, and corporate bankruptcies are absolutely spiking. Germany's corporate insolvencies hit their highest level in a decade. In fact, 22,000 company bankruptcies are expected this year alone, or equivalent to 60 a day. And yet, they are spending hundreds of billions on their military ready for war. But war with who, you may ask? And that's exactly the right concern if you're asking that question. And here's what should worry most citizens then, I would say. When money vanishes from cities, the government always looks elsewhere for money. Because remember, the government doesn't make money, they only take money. So that means your pocket. Just look at the UK right now. Look what's happening there. your taxes will go up, your services will get cut, your safety net vanishes, and you become second-class citizens in your own country. So if you live anywhere in Europe, this is spreading, and it's spreading fast. Germany is just the first of many in a line here. It's the worst. France is second, but a lot of them are going to go down very, very quickly. And again, who thought it was a good idea to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline and cut off the cheap energy? Who thought that was a good idea? Followed by closing all the power plants, closing all the heavy industry. This was economic suicide. And now Germans are waking up and realizing that they are going to pay the price. Point number 3 then is this huge military shift. Germany, France, the EU, they are all onto defense and security. Because when a democracy starts reshuffling its military like this, that is a clear sign that things are getting serious. Germany is moving closer to mandatory military service again. They've just announced this, or at least a very heavy push towards large-scale enlistment and reserves. And at the EU level, listen to this, there's now a push for a military Schengen. Yes, that's the Schengen zone. Troops, tanks, equipment all want to move freely across borders. There were dozens of articles on this exact thing just this week. And the main question was, how can we get troops and equipment to Russia within 3 days? That was the main question. France is also holding a parliamentary vote to strengthen the armed forces and Europe's defense apparatus. When your government says we must prepare for war, I mean, where do we even start with that? But firstly, the burden falls on citizens, almost never on the people in power, as this video of, again, Ursula von der Leyen should remind us all. That's why I said earlier, let me show you in a moment.
Wenn meine eigenen Kinder zur Bundeswehr gehen wollten, dann, und es wäre ein Auslandseinsatz notwendig, dann würden sie mitgehen müssen. Und ich würde genauso zittern und bangen wie jede andere Mutter.
Ist jemand bei der Bundeswehr von Ihren Kindern?
Nein.
Yes. Hilarious indeed, wasn't it? No. 7 children, 7 adult children, none of them are in the military, of course. And on top of all of this, there is outrage at the comments of a French general this week who said that France must prepare to lose its children in war. In fact, more specifically, he said, expect war with Russia by 2028. And he went on to say that we might have just lived through our last peacetime summer in Europe. So, what's coming then? I think it's kind of obvious at this point what Europe is hell-bent on. And that's also where freedom and normal life get sacrificed. Point number 4 then, back to Ursula. She's completely out of touch while Europeans suffer. We really need to talk about this EU leadership here, or more specifically the lack thereof, because the people steering these changes are miles away from the consequences. Ursula and the European Commission propose yet another 150 billion euros for Ukraine next year. And not just that, they've also pledged another 150 billion euros into Africa under the Gateway for Africa initiative. Meanwhile, Europeans are already the highest taxed people on the planet. They're going to be taxed more for this 300 billion. People are struggling with inflation, falling wages, lower living standards, collapsing cities, infrastructure that's falling, mass migration, the threat of war, and now privacy erosion. This is the definition of being out of touch. When a government says, we will send your money overseas and we're going to tighten your freedoms and we're going to increase your risks while you feel squeezed at home, that's not leadership, ladies and gentlemen. Leadership would be to call for peace. It would be to agree for a peace deal and keep pushing for that every day, to close the borders, to open businesses and industries, not close them, and to build anew. Raise the living standards of the people, raise it up. No, this is all about control. If governments funnel money and resources outward while ordinary citizens fall behind, you end up in a situation where you simply cannot leave as a citizen. You can't escape, and you can't opt out. Unless, of course, you have the money to get out. That is one of the things I focused on. And I do highly recommend that for those of you young enough, do it. Build your own side hustle, build your own digital business like I did. Give yourself those options. If you're a parent, give those tools to your children. Buy yourself a cheap visa in a neutral country. You've got to start thinking of different options now. My rapid cash flow program will teach you how to make money from anywhere in the world very quickly. It's part of the Black Friday sale. Check it out. So look, I'm not saying Europe's doomed today, but what I am saying is this. If I smell smoke, you better believe I'm going to go and check there isn't a fire in my kitchen, right? EU citizens, like UK citizens, have become too passive. And it's only now that some people are kind of finally starting to wake up. Otherwise, Europe is just going to continue to be taken advantage of by these people. Now, you might say, but what can I do? Well, start by staying informed. Share this video. Join a like-minded community. These are all the things that I used to do. Keep your digital life private. Put pressure on local governments. Attend protests against losses of privacy and freedom. I'm not saying attend riots, but attend peaceful protests, because this isn't just about the EU. This is far, far reaching. And if you're not willing to do that, any of these things, at least help yourself out by preparing your finances. Really, you've got to do this. Check out the Black Friday offers, right? Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because what happens next is going to be a lot bigger than most people think. So with all that said, I really hope you take these warnings today, because this is happening. This is going across the Eurozone. And even with peace deals, I just don't think this is going to end. If there's a peace deal happen tomorrow, I don't think this is going to end. Europe has a focus, they have a strategy, and it's not a positive one in my book. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. God bless. I'll see you on the next video.